Welcome everyone, social media and website and our digital marketing expert panel discussion. Really glad to see everyone here. We're really excited about this session as well. It took a while to pull everything together, I gotta be honest with you. You know, finding folks that are really digging the industries that we support, getting them to volunteer, come up here on stage and share their sage advice and experience. It can be a little bit of a challenge, but it was great that we're able to pull together this great group of panel members. And my name's Dean Heckman. I am the VP of Customer Engagement with Motorhead Digital. And it was awesome, I gotta tell you, last night, my boss, Barry over there, recently promoted me to CTO. So is anybody familiar with what a CTO is? CTO is it's not Chief Technology Officer, it's Chief Tequila Officer. All right, because we found out Don Julio was here. And if you haven't had a spicy margarita and a barbecue sandwich, highly recommend it. It's a 5-star, so go for it, all right? So, yeah, my name's Dean Heckman. Like I said, I'm going to be your moderator today. I'm going to try and keep everybody aligned and keep things going. As I mentioned, we only have an hour, but there's nobody in this room after us, so we're probably going to hang out for another 20 minutes or so. So don't be afraid. If we're not able to answer all your questions or cover all the material that you would like us to in the allotted time, don't be afraid to come up and see us afterwards, all right? And if anybody does like tequila, check in with me. It'll be my honor to have some tequila with you. All right? So that'll be tonight, I'm sure. All right, got a lot of stuff to cover. Always the obligatory disclaimer slide. If anybody can read that, good for you. The good news is at the end of the session, there will be a QR code where you will download the presentation. We're not going to show you in the presentation what we call our pro tips, but you will get them when you download the presentation and all the takeaways that our great panel members have created for you guys. So at the end of the session, download it, and then there'll be a test on this next week. All right, so a lot of good material in there for you. Some additional reminders. This year, when you complete the survey, you have to do it through the SEMA app. So if you don't have the SEMA app, please download it. Go to our session, and you can provide feedback. It's right in the middle of the screen. Please take the time to provide that feedback. It's just a few questions. You know, you can rate it, but what's most important for SEMA education, put your comments in there. It's because of those comments that we have this panel. Over the last couple of years, several of you have written in there, hey, it'd be nice to talk about these topics, but also get different perspectives. So that's why we're able to pull this panel together. It's because of you guys coming here. All right, so please take the time to do that. And as I mentioned, if you want to post throughout the session, feel free to do that. Just use hashtag SEMA Education, hashtag SEMA 2024, and Mas Tequila. And then we should be good to go. All right? So a couple other things we want to share with you. Session objectives, and I want to set a baseline for everyone to understand. I know there's a lot of words. Don't worry about it. Okay? But really our objective for today's panel is to provide branding, photography, videography, and then digital marketing tips and advice around what we call the fundamentals. All right? So we want to provide that information so your organization can attract those clients that you want, right? And you can attract them by increasing your visibility and your awareness and that interaction that you have online with existing customers, hopefully they'll return, or with prospects. So that's really what we want you to get out of this, right? It's the fundamentals. We always say these are the building blocks for your success. If you do these things right, more will come later, okay? So hopefully that's cool. We like to talk about rules of engagement. Rules of engagement are, once I introduce our panel, we've got a couple of questions we'll ask them to kind of get things started. But then if you have a burning question, raise your hand. Just say, hey man, I'd like to ask a question. Keith's gonna run around here, he's got a mic. I just ask that when you ask your question, speak into the mic nice and clear so everybody can hear the question, all right? And then our panel members will respond. I might ask somebody else on the panel to respond to your question as well. Or you can say, hey Jeff, that's cool, what do you think, Annette? Don't be afraid to get different perspectives here, okay? This is your session, so take advantage of this time. One other thing, I had a note here. It said something about finger. If we're starting to wander off or running out of time, I will give you the finger. That's this one, okay? What it simply means is, great question, we're gonna cover it later, or can we continue that conversation at the end of the session? Like I said, we're only going to really have about 50 minutes, which is not a lot of time to cover all the great content and the stories these folks have. Pretty amazing. All right, what else? A serious question for the audience. Do I have any veterans that are attending? I'm an Army vet. Could you please stand up? Anyone else? I'm an Army vet, 12 Bravo, combat engineer. I was a drill sergeant. Thank you. Super important to me, former military, right? But in honor of Veterans Day coming up, on behalf of the expert panel, SEMA and SEMA Education, I would like to say, and we would like to say, thank you for your service. We really appreciate it. Thank you. A couple things for everyone else now as far as questions. This will help our panel members kind of hone in as they think about responses. Quick show of hands. How many of you work for, own, support the automotive aftermarket or restyling industry or shops? Okay. Great. Good show of hands. Thank you. How about those in a restoration shop? Doing restorations? Jason doesn't count. Okay, a few of you. Cool. Thanks, Steve. Just kidding. Performance shops. Got some performance? Awesome. Welcome. Racing, grassroots racing shops. Anybody in the racing? Couple down here? Fantastic. Okay, I see a few more. Well, that's good then, because we want to make sure we're responding. It's relevant to your particular niche or part of our industry, so that's cool. And anyone else that's other, that's cool. Welcome. You know, we'll make sure we give you some great information. So, without further ado, I'd like to introduce our panel members. This expert panel has over 150 years of like real world experience. So I mean, there's a lot of expertise here. It's not just, you know, Jeff wasn't a hobo 3 days ago and we pulled him off, cleaned him up, and put him in a chair here today. But representing branding for this session is going to be Jeff Cohen. Jeff's a chief marketing officer, revenue creator, and he specializes in storytelling, branding, marketing, and creative, leveraging his experiences from, are you ready? Some iconic brands here. From broadcast, CBS, NBC, Turner, and Paramount. We talk about consumer goods and products, Kellogg's, Coca-Cola, and Monavie. He's worked with tech companies. That's actually where we originally met, but Check Free and Pitney Bowes. He's a member of the U.S. Olympic Committee and has been for many years. And also one of our favorites, NASCAR, helping those brands continue to grow and stay relevant. So some iconic brands there. He's also a Reggie, BPME, BDA, Telly, and Hollywood Reporter Awards recipient. Jeff is also well known as leading industry innovating brand specialist with helping to grow brands to market dominance while creating awareness, market share, and revenue through what we call robust regional and global marketing campaigns. I know that's a mouthful, but that's very important. That's how we grow our businesses. So please welcome Jeff Cohen. And we said there were 150 years of experience. Jeff has about 120 of those, right, Jeff? And wait till you see it. That's his high school picture we'll show you later. But anyway, I digress. Next, representing photography is our good friend Annette Bauer. So Annette is the owner of Annette Bauer Creative, where she's a seasoned photographer, marketing professional, and also co-host of the Gearheads and Gasoline podcast. And she has a passion deeply rooted in the automotive and motorsports industries. She spent more than 20 years in the dynamic field of marketing, and Annette has narrowed her focus to emphasize the indispensable role photography has in motorsports and the automotive sectors. She's a huge advocate for encouraging more women to, as she likes to say, fearlessly immerse themselves in the automotive and motorsports industry, whether it's as a driver, crew member, or content creators. Annette believes in getting involved, getting dirty, and challenging the norms. What's also cool is Annette's a regular at SEMA and PRI and other motorsports events. She's also a member of SEMA and SBN and a newly elected SBN Select Committee member. So please welcome Annette Bauer. All right, only 6 more to go. All right, next up is representing videography. Is our young gun, Nicholas Russo. So Nicholas is the founder and owner of NMR Media and is well known in the automotive as an automotive producer, videographer, celebrated for his expertise in personalizing media for brands. So when I first met Nick, I was like, tell me a little bit more about that. And then as our conversation progressed, I'm like, this dude's the right guy to have on the panel. So we're really happy to have him here. But with a career spanning over a decade, Nicholas has built a reputation for turning a client's vision into reality. His journey began at age 18. Dude, you're only like 20 now. Street math, huh? Anyway, his journey began at age 18 when he entered the business world as a self-taught entrepreneur with a hunger to learn and grow while helping his clients succeed. Nick's meticulous attention to detail and commitment to excellence has attracted a diverse clientele from celebrities to car enthusiasts. His innovative approach and ability to capture an emotion continues to position him as a leader in the field of personalized and commercial automotive production, but above all, he exhibits empathy and a drive to coach, which is important for you guys, to coach eager content creators and fresh business owners on how to succeed in their passions. That's why I love Nicholas. He's awesome. Please welcome Nicholas Russo. And bringing up the rear, pulling all of this stuff together, representing digital marketing, is Barry Alt. So Barry is a digital marketing expert with over 25 years in the digital marketing space and the proud owner of Motorhead Digital, where he leads a team of digital marketing experts dedicated to transforming the online presence of businesses in the automotive aftermarket. His deep-rooted connection to the automotive world is really underscored by his early trade school education in auto services and auto body. His commitment to the industry was recognized in 2021 when he was elected to the SEMA ARMO Select Committee, where he still serves. He's a familiar face as the co-host of Gearheads and Gasoline at car shows, SEMA, PRI, and Good Guys events across the country, where he stays connected with the latest trends and innovations in the automotive aftermarket world. Please welcome Barry Alt. Now you got it. Does that look like Jeff's high school picture? Come on. Annette. Yep. Still looks the same, huh? And of course Nick, he hasn't aged a minute. And then of course Barry. One of the points, we were pulling this, just some of the eye candy for the presentation together. I think it's really important is that we are all car people. I mean, we're genuine, we dig this stuff. And that can't come across enough for everybody. So, we love this industry. It's so great to be able to work with folks like you and just to see some of the beautiful work that's out there. So I just wanted to share that with you. And then somebody asked me just a little while ago, because I always put in my bio, I'm an auto enthusiast, but my last vehicle listed on my profile and my favorite is my 1996 Raymour and Flanagan electric couch that I built. Okay, and yes, it's true. So I'm just saying, when you get creative like you guys are, I do it with couches, you guys do it with automotives. But anyway, it's a lot of fun. So thank you. We're going to jump in. So start getting those questions going, because we're going to jump in. I have a few questions to kick things off, but this is where I need you to participate. Raise your hand so we can ask our panel members some questions. So Jeff, I'm going to start off with you. We're basically going to go left to right. Start with branding, because without good branding, a lot of the other stuff just doesn't matter. So Jeff, really to help set the stage for all of us, what is branding in simple terms, and why is it important to shops?
Thank you. So just to jump in simply, everybody in this room is a brand. You don't think of yourself as an individual that does not have a brand. What you look like, what you sound like, what you feel like, what you act like, what colors you like, how you comb your hair, or no hair, it doesn't matter, right? But the brand is the top of the pyramid. We're going to go from the top down as this works through, but branding is the essence of you, your business as an individual, your business as a company. And the brand speaks all the time. Influencers have a brand, and you ask them to help you brand the company. But if they don't have the words of what the brand is, then there's nothing to talk about. So think of it, your favorite store, Target, for example. When you speak of Target, you know the circle, you know what it stands for, you know the color, you know what's in the store, you know what's going to be served to you, you know what it's like. And that familiarity is what Target wants you to get happy with, because you will spend your time and more money. So the thing is, same thing with anything in the automotive business that we're here, you represent a very diverse group of people. You've got to get the brand right. The brand is not the hottest logo. The brand is not the hottest word. The brand is not the hottest picture. The brand is not the hottest video. The brand is in your mind of what you see yourself or your store or your shop, your customers, what you do. And if you nail that, everything flows. So, you know, I had the fortune of working on some things before there was internet, I must admit, right? So you had to think a second, what's the brand? What's the logo? What is it going to look like? How is it going to live its life? Do you keep it for a week, a month, a year? Do you get tired of it? Do you retread it? What do you do? So you do things that have life, shelf life, and evergreen. Some of you take old stuff and make it yours that you've liked in the past. Some of you ask other people, what did you think? All of that's right. All of that's correct. So branding is what you want somebody to think of you before you meet them. Branding is what you want to have happen when you meet them and they come into your shop. And branding is the essence of how they feel after they've done business with you. And that lives 365. So branding starts the process. And when you're somebody who owns the brand in a company, a store, an individual, you get tired of it the day you do it and fight it. Fight the fight. Don't do the thinking, oh, I don't like it, I need to change it. Maybe I'll change it tomorrow. No, I'll change it in a week. I'll change it in a month. Live with it. Because when you're tired of it, that means the first people outside may have seen it a little. And when you get really tired of it, then it's like, then people have started to see it. So that's branding.
So Jeff, along those lines, I mean, you talk about getting the brand when we might get tired of it. It sounds like it's the recommendation is it just takes time to build the brand, right? And Annette, I'm going to come to you for a second because helping our audience understand. Let me ask you this question: branding. What does it really mean, though? Because we talk about branding. Is there confusion between what branding is versus something else? I think we had that conversation before.
There is definitely a difference between branding and marketing and understanding how to execute that within your business. I am not the resident expert on that, so Jeff definitely is, but when it comes to the application of how it works within your business is remember that brand is all about consistency, right? So you want to make sure that you're using the right colors, you're using the right fonts, you're using consistency with your logo. All of that sets a message for your clients and your potential customer, because they're going to be looking at you to say like, oh, if there's all these changes, that's a little bit confusing to them and they're not really sure where to go or how to get information or how to do business with you. So be consistent, right? So for those of you in the audience who are in the racing element of this, you get it. Consistency is the key, right? You can have the quickest, you can have the fastest, but consistency is the key. And that doesn't change when it comes to your brand. Be consistent.
Indeed. And then Jeff,
Yeah, I have a follow-up. So I created the Kellogg's racing team. So you had the Kellogg's logo, but then you had that's a logo for 100 years. But then you had to come up with what does the Kellogg's racing team look like, and then how do you put cornflakes, and then how do you put frosted mini wheats, and how do you put all the logos on there, and how do you do it with the numbers and the color schemes? Hendrick Motorsports is on the right, the yellow and the red, right? They had their 2 cents. You can't mess with the logos. You can't mess with certain things with the companies that have corporate standards, right? So the thing is consistency. When you looked at the box, whether it's Dale Earnhardt on the cornflakes box or Terry Labonte on the cornflakes box or anybody, it's Richard Petty, we put everybody on the box at one time, Jeff Gordon. You look for the yellow and the red, right? Or you look for the black and the white. So very important that, invest in it, stick with it, as you said, and, live it. And your logo can always take on the seasonality of what's going on and other things that are going on, whether it's Christmas, whether it's, spring, fall, whether it's racing, whether it, no matter what. So in the same thing, how many of you remember logos? They say, oh, that's a cool logo, right? So logos mean everything, and when you see up there those logos, changing logos. I changed the NBC logo. You're all too young, but it used to be 16 feathers of the bird. And when I got there, and it was no longer owned by RCA, it was owned by GE, the thought was, how can we refresh the bird? So the bird got refreshed to 6 feathers. The 6 were the corporations of GE divisions and the colors. So, just like cars design, the old models, they capture the essence of the old model in a new version of it. That's the key.
Awesome. Any questions, by the way? Got some questions, anybody? We carry on? I've got 50 of them for them, but I was hoping you guys would say, hey, how do I apply that? Got a question right here, Keith? He's going to get you a mic. There you go. Speak loud and clear so everybody can hear you.
So I have a question. Our small business, we started off as a franchise for a national brand. We grew, it was a bedliner business, and we grew that because it's an accessory like any other. We grew it into an accessory shop, but we were so well known with that brand of only being bedliners, we came up with a new brand. We've since left that national brand and gone on our own, so now I need to move myself away from that brand that's a national known brand and grow our own. Any advice on how to do that? And I know that they're going to bring someone into our territory with that old national brand. So I need to compete with that as well.
Well,
Go ahead.
I think that whatever the essence of your business is, right? People, you do want to sell from the strength of what your history was, right? So one of the things is how much of that history can you keep? If you can't keep any of that, and you're expanding, and you can't keep that, but you need to put a new footprint out there, then attack it as a net new business, right? Net new look, new feel, and be able to tell that story, and start now with a brand that you can build on, right? It's easy. It is always easy to have a major umbrella logo and then you add products and services and you just keep on going. That's the easy way, but most of the time is lots of people won't accept a brand or a service or something from a certain company. They say, well, I know you from what you did with parts. I know you from from what you've done with other types of services. So, the key thing is always look to create, if you can't use the brand that you have established and you want to add girth and width to the company, start a new brand, tell the story, and eventually those two roads of your old company and your new company, they will have to merge because people will realize the history. I know you from this, bedliners. Oh, I see that you have a new company over here. Tell me, I want that story. Tell me, I want that product.
Okay. Any other comments?
I'll add one more thing to what Jeff was saying about branding. When we created Motorhead Digital, you'll see there's some stickers on your seat. We focused on a specific logo. We have 2 different logos, one with a blower on it, one with just Motorhead Digital, and we have a little car thing. Those are consistent, but there's always a story behind that and who we're talking to, who our customers are. And what was really interesting to me about 3 years in after we created that is we had people coming up to us and saying, oh, I know who Motorhead Digital is. I didn't know them from Adam, but they recognized our logo, they recognized our stuff, and they knew who we were, what we did, and they knew our story, and that's important.
Nick, did you have a comment? Smart remark?
Actually, I did have a comment. What I'm going to pull into this is when it comes to creating a new brand or business, the first thing I'm going to say is authenticity. Be yourself. That's going to speak louder than any company or umbrella you've ever been under because it's you. It's genuine. It's going to speak louder than anything else, and that's going to create your own path and originality. Then you don't have to worry about what you were under because they're going to be like, wow, that gave him the components to do this, 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 and this. That's amazing, and it'll inspire more people to do the same thing.
Cool. Another question?
Hi everyone, I'm Richie with the Gritty Company, small business of auto detailing. So the problem that I'm having, which is a good problem, is that my clients are associating me above my brand. So when I do restoration, especially paint correction, or just like deep extraction, things of that nature, they're like, hey, I want to come back to you, Richie, but how do I create that separation as I scale? I want the company and the brand to be the forefront, not me. It's not my show. It's what I represent. Does that make sense?
I have a question for you, follow-up. So how long have you had your established brand aside from just you?
4 years. Well, we were in the can because of 2020, but 4 years in totality.
Okay. So the thing I would just want to remind everything is that, especially when it comes to marketing and branding as a whole, time is your friend. Like, you're 100% right. People are going to go like, I know you, I want you to do it. Stay strong with what you're trying to establish with your brand and understand that you just got to keep pushing that, hey, what I do is more than just me. It's my brand. Just keep pushing with that and stay consistent with it. But it takes time, and just understand that it's not something that's going to happen overnight.
Indeed, and you know, I've noticed over the years, a lot of times we talk about I and me, instead of we talk about we or our, like talking about your business. Otherwise, you are the business, and if you want to get out of that, you gotta change your vocabulary, right? Jeff?
Yeah, I just got a little story. It exactly the same. When I went and worked with Turner Broadcasting, we had Ted Turner. And again, Ted was bigger than the business, right? If you are the business short of the business, you just have, exactly what you said, you just have to run in parallel and keep on saying, you know, that's one of my businesses. Like Ted was associated with CNN. Ted was associated with the Atlanta Braves. Ted didn't like the manager one day. He became the manager of the Braves, you know, and then he, you know, kicked him out of there. Don't do that. Or you know, so the thing is, you're going to get to the point where your company is bigger than you, and people will realize it's your company. And then, you know, but as you said, time. You can run in parallel and get there.
Awesome. If you don't mind, we're going to move. Quick question, or can I give him the finger? No, we got one more question. And then we got to move on because time's high. Like I said, I could talk about this all day long, but there's some other great practical content to share. Go ahead.
So originally we were 20, 30 years in the business. Business was Shocker. We have a monster truck, Shocker. We rebranded due to insurance reasons because apparently you can't own a monster truck on your business property. So we came out with Direct Off-Road. It's been working good. We've been hustling and bustling, but we've decided to expand. I picked up fleet companies, state vehicles, forestry, the whole shebang. But now it's like Direct Off-Road, but I'm doing a ton of automotive maintenance. So I'm like, how do I incorporate that into, because it's not really in the name. So I imagine I'm losing business because people see, oh, Direct Off-Road, they don't do oil changes or AC service. But I do it all. And we just redid our website, which reflects that. But trying to get it out there, like social media-wise, how do I make that work? And I really don't want to change the name or the brand or the logos, the hats or anything. So it's like, what do I do?
What are you thinking?
Realistically, what I would say is to continue pushing the stuff and show people what you're bringing to the table. Yes, your brand might not directly say something, but it doesn't mean you can't incorporate other parts to it. That's the building block in order to start that walkway for more people to see what you can actually achieve. Realistically, yes, you want everything to be all cut and dry, but life isn't cut and dry. We have to adapt with the things that are thrown at us, and we kind of just got to take those steps as they come. So realistically, I'd just say keep pushing forward and showing people all those aspects that you have, because that's going to build on its own. And then the word gets out, because I always say word of mouth will travel faster than anything on the internet.
I'm going to piggyback on that and say a lot of it is going to have to do with your messaging too, right? What do you have on your website? the messages that you're putting out on social media, things that you're putting in print materials. Make sure that you're showing that you're full scope, right? That you don't just specialize in certain things. A lot of times that companies will, or people will see that companies will kind of niche down in areas, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. Like, I do that, Barry does that, but when you kind of do a full scope business like you have, make sure that you're touting all of those different things, right? You can create segments of different social media pieces that target, hey, we do this, we do that, you know, whatever it is, but do like pieces for it, campaigns for each of those things so that it hits your target market.
And I think something real quick, and then we'll move on, is what we did with Motorhead Digital. Is actually we have DBAs, so we have a major brand, our major legal entity, and then of course you can create sub-entities under that. So that what that does, it allows you to really focus that energy around your brand, your messaging, the persona, all those great things that go with it. But don't throw that away, what you've done. Use that. So Barry, any other comments? We'll get rolling? You good? Awesome. All right. Hey, we're gonna jump into photography, something that I'm really not good at, and Annette's been awesome trying to coach me a little bit here. But we're gonna jump into photography, and Annette, I've got 42 questions for you. We'll try and limit it to 3. I'm gonna give you a compound question to get things rolling. So for me, I was always excited, but I don't know how it works. Is how can those really high quality visuals set an automotive business apart in really a competitive and, let's say, a digitally busy market that we're all in? That's the start. And then what unique selling points should our audience use or focus on with their imagery? And then last is, where should automotive businesses prioritize using those professional type photos? Whew. All yours.
So I'm going to cut in here.
Yeah,
You did exactly what I get yelled at for in the podcast.
I know.
Yeah,
I had to.
like,
That's a lot of
I have
words.
the memory of a squirrel. You're going to have to come back to me with some of those.
Asking too many 3 questions at a time. I only usually do 2.
But I only have 32 minutes left, so.
Okay. So first and foremost, when it comes to professional photography, and I want to like really stress that there is a big difference between professional photography and what you could do with a cell phone. And I'm not taking anything away from that, because a lot of companies and a lot of people start there. It's easy, it's convenient, I get it. But I also want you to think bigger for your brand from the perspective of you need to make an investment in your company and in your future and in the message of what you're trying to do. So the big thing with professional photography is elevate your brand past stock photography. There is absolutely nothing wrong with stock photography, but it is not authentic to your brand. It is not authentic to what you do and who you serve. So make sure that you're taking pictures that really tell your story. And that's a big reason why I will always be a proponent over hiring a professional photographer to come in. A lot of times they're going to do a lot of the heavy lifting for you, so you don't have to set up all this stuff. They'll come in and they'll give you some tips and tricks, and they'll do a lot of the legwork to help you get everything set up for your shoot. So it really takes a lot off of you. Additionally, it humanizes your brand. So we all get really caught up in the day-to-day do's of what we do in our business. But remember that there's another person on the other side that you want to come in and buy from you, right? So don't forget to create that connection with them, and remember to humanize your brand. And last is that you really want to be able to tell your story, and that is done really well when you create a style for your business. And if you're working with a photographer consistently, you're going to naturally create that style, which people will recognize. And I'll just use myself as an example, right? Like Dean had mentioned, pink, that's my thing. Like, that is my brand, it's my style. But I also have a very specific style in photography. And I can tell you, going across the country and doing a lot of different traveling for different shoots, I've had people that I literally have never met, know nothing about, come up to me and know who I am simply based on my style of photography. So just be authentic, I think, is the most important thing that I can stress on that, just like Nick had said. What were your other questions? Because again,
Really, where should automotive businesses prioritize using that professional photography? Do we just take pictures and throw it everywhere, or do we focus the
Yes.
use of that imagery?
yes is the short answer.
Perfect.
So
Everybody
yeah,
got
I
that?
mean,
It's all clear?
yes, you want to like think about where you're going to use it, right? Website, social media, large print formats. And I will say this because this is relevant to each and every single one of you. When you walk around this convention center, look at all the pictures from all the brands. Look at all the videos that you're seeing, and Nick will talk more about that in just a moment. But all of that is very specific to a professional photographer, right? So when you are building that library of assets to use, remember, if you're using it for marketing collateral as brochures or flyers, again, large print format like you're seeing on all of the signs that are out across the convention center or the booths, that's, you know, another area that you really want to kind of focus and where you can use it at.
Yeah, I have a comment as far as we talked about stock photography. We do a lot of website development, and we talk to our customers, and there's a lot of video and photography on a website. If you're working with a web developer and they said, well, just send us whatever you got, or go find it online, or, you know, just we'll just use stock photography, run, don't walk away from them, because they're just not gonna represent you properly with that kind of material, right? Every once in a while, a little stock photography is fine, but we've had customers call it, send us stuff, and I go, where did you get this? Oh, I went and did a search on Google.
And are you allowed
please
to
don't-
use it?
Please don't do that.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
legitimate legal recourse that can happen to you, so please don't do that.
Yeah, we're all hearing about the AI buzz. There's AI out there that monitors a lot of that, those digital assets, so they can tell. There's a signature out there, and then they knock on your door and fine you, and you get in trouble. So don't do that, right?
One other thing to touch on is when you are presenting a product to a client and they show up to your business, don't you want to expect what you're showing up to also? You want it to represent what you're actually bringing to the table. Granted, in some situations you have to start from the bottom, so you might begin with stock images. That's a way to build yourself up and put yourself in that position to then reach out in order to take that next step to establish your look, your brand, your company. Then you want to show everything as it is, because when someone comes in, you have that personality, that little bit of comfort that already is created just by the image you poised for them to first meet you.
Yeah, good advice. Questions, by the way, as we're digging in? Questions from anyone yet? So, like I said, I got 50. Oh, one way over there, Keith. Well, Keith's heading over there, but to add on to some of the comments we made, what you don't want to have anything that looks like it's been photoshopped or AI generated. I mean, that breaks the authenticity rule immediately, because then people know you're full of crap. It's like, no. I mean, you can use different tools to, you know, modify some of your own imagery, but if that's really what you want your brand to represent, I don't know how successful you'll be overall. So
Yeah, I'll mention one thing before you go about that AI. I'm looking through an advertisement by a major brand in a magazine, and there was looked like a Ford Ranger pickup truck. But I looked at it really close, and it was AI generated, because you could tell the bits and pieces, how the hood was shaped, certain things. I'm like, what are they thinking? Because it was a major brand.
not cool.
So you kind of took my question. It was about AI. So there are they're getting oddly specific with AI. I've seen a lot of the fake generated photos. So for a young business or for an individual, would you recommend AI at all?
Personally,
Yeah.
I've utilized AI for some creations that I've done, but it's only for specific purposes would I utilize AI, because I'm going to tie back right into what I was saying before, that authenticity of presenting something that people actually will remember. If you're going to create a lot of falsified stuff, what would you think as a client coming to that business? Do they represent the things that they are always about, or are they trying to cover up, in a sense, what they are about? So to an extent, yes, you can use it for presentation, but once it gets to a certain point, are you actually using yourself as the business anymore? Just something to think on.
Yeah, along those lines, Nick, it's like the question becomes, what is your target audience? If you're targeting a very specific niche within a niche, maybe they dig that stuff, you know? But to run your entire business right now, I think we would all agree, I wouldn't do everything with AI. I would use it appropriately. Right, Jeff?
I just have a quick comment on that. I personally use AI now for clients that want to have a style that is not necessarily available to them, where you can use AI generation to create a look and feel, just like you were talking about pink. There are things you can do, in your point, if you don't have the money, create a look and feel that's yours, own it, and then drop in the real stuff. your stuff, right? But so many people just, we were talking about this earlier, there are formats that people pick up. They look like the same format my grandfather used. It's the same thing just passed along. There's nothing wrong with it, but how many of you have seen a commercial on television and the music they're using is some of the same music that is another commercial for another product, another brand, completely not you. It's two different worlds. They're using the same music and somebody made a decision because that was what they thought was cool. So create with AI and then fill your story and your brand with your essentials, the real stuff.
Yeah, I will tell you, in all the marketing that I do, aside from photography, I work for a branding agency, although I'm not a branding expert, that we use AI, but we always start with a real image, a baseline image of something that we want to create from, right? So just exactly what Jeff said, like you're just enhancing what that message is, right? And you can, that's a really actually cool opportunity to be creative with stuff. Like Nick is super great at putting out some like super creative stuff from images that I guarantee you, if you guys follow him, from this show alone, you will see some stuff come out that'll just blow your mind because he just is super creative with it, but start with a baseline.
Awesome. Any questions over here? You guys are really quiet. You need to step up and do some jumping jacks or something. We do have a question over here. Okay.
Hi, Brian Wagner, lead content creator for Dragzine.com. This is for my photo and video friends. Small businesses that I've dealt with and whatnot, they want to create their own content, and I think some of them get intimidated by gear. They see us with our big fancy cameras and they think that's what they need. Maybe give the small business people in here kind of some insight on how to properly invest in what gear that they should use to help kind of, start out small, go big if they want, but kind of give them a little bit of a foothold on what to start with.
That's a great lead-in. If you didn't know, I slipped him $20 out in the hall to ask that question because that was the next one. Thank you, Tequila, for that, man. And that's why we have some equipment here. So Annette?
So when I first started, a little backstory on how I got started in photography. So I'm actually a drag racer. That's how I started first. And I raced for several years, but every time I was at the time I was racing motorcycles, every time I was racing a motorcycle, then I got into cars, there would be times I was just sitting there and total vanity side of me was like, man, this would be a really cool picture. But nobody was ever there to take the picture. So when I wasn't on a bike or I wasn't in a car, I picked up a camera and started shooting. And that was 16, 17 years ago. But Brian, to your question, when I did pick up a camera, I legitimately went to Costco and I got one of those kits that had like a camera and kit lenses in it. It was nothing fancy. But I kid you not, I used that specific camera up until 2 years ago. And then I switched over to what I have now. So, I mean, you can absolutely start with something very basic and do great with it. It is a lot to do with, again, how you create your style. And most importantly, that you're coming to it with what's in your heart and your passion for it. So I didn't have a fancy camera, but I knew that I loved drag racing. And I knew that that was something that I wanted to share with everybody. And much like Dean had mentioned before, like, if I can get more women involved or interested in the racing industry, in the automotive industry, I'm 100% for it. And I used what I knew how to do then to share that imagery, to share that story. But I started out with something very, very basic. And I know that a lot of you are like, well, I have a cell phone. Cool, that's a great start. That's an absolutely great start. Just don't always stay there when it comes to how you run your business.
Along those lines, I have a friend who does wildlife photography, but she wasn't sure, like, am I going to like it? I don't want to schlep a bunch of gear around. Don't discount the aftermarket. There's a lot of used stuff out there. Go for it. Whether it's eBay or your local, Facebook marketplace or whatever. She picked up, she showed me this camera she bought for like $60. And the thing's amazing. That's all she uses. So, save yourself some bucks. You can find some used equipment or whatever and give it a shot. Don't go out. What I've learned talking with Annette and certainly with Nick is the equipment doesn't make you a good photographer or videographer. You got to know how to use that stuff. Cool?
A nice little follow-up to that would be when it comes to the tools that you utilize, it's what you make of it. We all started, you can't tell anybody here that didn't start with a cheap camera. We worked our way up to what we're getting. If you start at the end of the goal, how are you going to learn all the steps in order to really utilize those tools? That's why I say AI isn't a bad thing either, because it's a tool. It's just what purpose are you using it for? What message are you trying to get across with this? What multiple purposes are you using it for? Best way to say it, because a lot of people, they'll try and get a camera that can both dabble in photo and video. Let me check both boxes off at the same time. And then I'll tie back in the phone. I bet everyone in this room has a cell phone. It is something that we utilize every day. If it's something that you need in order to jumpstart your business, use it. It doesn't mean that you can't take that next step later on. That's absolutely what you need to do, because I will always say this. I had multiple mentors that have always told me the same thing. You'll know when it's time to get the next thing. I never understood it. I always was like, it always frustrated me. I was like, when am I needing the next camera? When do I need to go invest back into this? It was when I realized I met the capacity of my tools. And that's something only you will ever be able to identify as business owners and clients yourselves.
Yeah, great advice. We're gonna slip into videography. So, but after the session, please stop up. I call it like nerd alert, because they get all googly and stuff about their equipment. So, and they'll talk your ears off. But really cool stuff. I mean, the technology, like when Jeff and I, it was like, old film. Anybody remember film? So, but let's jump into videography. It's cool. We got about 20 minutes or so, a little bit left, and videography is pretty cool. I'm amazed at what's going on out there over the last few years. So Nick, this question's really for you, and it's, why do the businesses our audience represent really need video? And really where it's coming from is, if a picture's worth 1,000 words, what the hell is video worth? Right?
So when it comes to video, I'll say this. As a picture, you can capture a moment. You can't capture movement as much or tell a story. To an extent, you can. But when it comes to video, you can really get across a whole message almost in one take. That's why when it comes to social media, you have about 30 seconds to capture your audience. It's quick. That's unfortunately how small the attention span is nowadays, but you have to work with what you got. But
Our audience, I don't think they have 30 seconds.
Nonetheless, it's getting your point across and telling the story. That's what I preach about when it comes to video. It's capturing what you are about and what your product or purpose or service is about. So it's telling your story via the means of that tool.
No, that's good. And Barry, along those lines, I know we've done a lot of work with different types of video. Like, what can we share with our audience? Should everything be 30 seconds? Should it be, 20? What are the different kinds?
Yeah, so everybody's used to seeing reels and everything out there, long form on YouTube and things like that. But there's also training videos. A lot of companies are actually setting up studios at their businesses. I know Steel Rubber's doing that. So that gets a little deeper where you end up getting more equipment. But then there's just a little short, the regular format that you can put in a post or on your website. Pull that into your website and tell a story. We have a whole video on the homepage of our site that kind of tells the story of who we are. That was all professional photo shoot. So lots of different opportunities out there. Don't think just in 30 seconds. What's the usage of that video? What are you going to use it for? How long is it going to be out there? Because, stories go up for 24 hours. That's it. A post can be out there for a long time. YouTube, hopefully it's there for a long time and get lots of views.
Yeah, I want to tag on to that to say that in the creation of that video, don't forget that you can always split that up into a billion clips, right? So you have self-driven social media clips that you can use for a duration of time. So there isn't, I've got 30 seconds. If you record something that's 2 minutes, man, you've just got a built-in library.
And I can tell you, I just learned, we do social media for our clients all the time, and Jason Chandler, sitting here in the front row, was shooting our video today, taught me something. He was doing these little clips at shows where it shows, he's like, little video, another little video, another little video. And then that night I'm seeing this reel that just went from it was just freaking amazing. So we do that now, but I didn't, sometimes you don't know what you don't know until you see, what's he doing? Oh, cool.
Another thing I'll tie in, raise your hand if you went to the NHRA breakfast this morning.
NHRA breakfast?
So,
really?
A few of us?
Wow.
Most of you were hungover and needed to be waterboarded to wake up, didn't you?
Don Garlitz was there, and he showed a clip of parts of his history. And that's one thing that I really took into impact. It was what I do can actually be a timeline for a person or a business or a product. And it shows all those moments throughout that timeline. And it's really cool because I grew up with a family that had scrapbooks for everything that I did. And it was interesting, but I never understood the perspective on it until I started to see stuff like this. When you actually get to capture all those moments and you can relive it, and it gives you those emotions. That's something that I pride myself on when I'm creating videos, is creating something that gives you an emotion or a feeling from it. And that's what clients or business partners or whoever it may be are going to want from you, because you'll instantly have their attention from that moment.
Yeah, good advice. Any questions, by the way, videography related? I'll keep going. I got more questions. We do have a question here. Nice and loud for us. Yeah.
So I like that you're bringing up social media, because obviously it seems like influencer marketing has become, the marketing tool right now. And for me, I'm coming from I'm a driver, I compete in Formula Drift, and it's tough to kind of figure out, okay, I'm getting great horizontal video from one of my videographers, but then Reels are what's popular now in the vertical format. And what's the best way to navigate getting horizontal versus vertical, or trying to make use of horizontal video and cropping, and then also combining that with, say, a caption to create the engagement that companies want? What are your thoughts on social media as a whole and creating that engagement and creating that ROI through video and photo for, say, partners that we're working with?
So I'll start off by saying you're not going to be able to please everybody. Unfortunately, you have to kind of fine-tune. That's why it kind of ties into your audience. Fine-tuning what you're actually trying to push more of, and focus on the things that they're interested in. Focus on the things that you see them taking a notice of. Like, for example, if I wanted to do business with a specific company, I would look at what they are actually interested in. What things do you see common? Because we're all creatures of pattern. When you see those patterns, I just focus on those things that they're repeating, and then kind of follow in that little bit of a niche, and then they'll start to take notice of it. But it's also showing the willingness to want to work with somebody. That pushes itself in advance. It shows that you are willing to do whatever it takes to be part of that team. So I'll say, when it comes to doing vertical and horizontal, there are a couple of tips and tricks that I've learned in order to film both at the same time. That is something that certain videographers will be able to figure out and can manipulate that in order to achieve both efforts in the same time. Because I bet there's plenty of videos that you've gotten horizontal, you're like, man, that would be perfect if it was vertical. There's ways around it too. And I'm not gonna lie, I'll pull in AI again, because there is ways where they use AI in order to fill those frames. So there's ways around it. But truthfully, I would say first look at your audience. What are you looking at? Is it gonna be a younger audience? Is it gonna be an older? Those demographics play into basically which format they're gonna view more of. Then push whichever one is gonna bring the most eyes to you. Like, let's say your client base is a lot of younger kids. It's gonna definitely be a real type format. That's gonna be getting the most views across their eyes. Then you need to start focusing on that more, because that's truthfully gonna be your ROI. If that's gonna be the main amount of people that are looking at and purchasing your product or pushing you forward towards a business or company, that has to be your focus. So I really gauge it based off of the business itself. Once you have all those analytics, that's why, nonetheless, we just post all this stuff. We never actually focus on the analytics. That's something that actually makes a big point as to why certain content is filmed a certain way. And unfortunately, sometimes the attention span's like this. So when you put all this time into this really long, cool video, and they're like, yeah, the first 10 seconds were cool.
Right.
I'll follow up real quick and just say, remember, not everything has to be perfect, right? So again, going back to that authenticity, is that people want to connect with you based on the fact that they can see themselves in you, right? That I'm not perfect, that you're going to be able to capture something just the same as somebody else would. And kind of what Nick had mentioned is that when you're recording, whoever is doing that recording for you, typically everything that's right in the center of your screen is what you can use vertically, right? But if you want something that's a little bit different, then you have that option to be able to move your video, depending on what software you're using to create videos, to capture a different, scene for what you're specifically to the drifting part, because I know that's quick action.
Yeah, just to follow on to carry on with that, we're going to go on to our next topic, but it doesn't sound like just shooting the video and it doesn't end there. Sounds like you can actually have to do some work after you get the video, right? So you got to remember that as well. And that's the cost of your time to invest in that, right? You can go take hundreds of hours worth of video, but then you spend thousands of hours trying to figure out how the hell do I use it? How do I add value to my brand? How do I make money using this? How do I create recognition? Whatever your goal is. So something to keep in mind. One more question. Where's Keith? Oh, here he is. Getting the mic for you. Sure.
So from like a business aspect, at which point in a business should I actually take the time and money to hire someone like you? Because I can't obviously manage, do everything I have to do.
I'll answer that for you. When you can afford it as soon as possible, because I feel that you should be focusing on what you do best, working with your customers and doing that, working with your team. Okay? I'm a big proponent of a book called Who Not How, and it's all about hiring the people that are experts at what they do. They're not experts at what you do, so if you can afford it, bring in a videographer, bring in a photographer, bring in a web designer, bring in a social media marketing person, because they know what they know what they're doing. And they can get you out in front of people a lot faster than you when you're trying to figure out, do I shoot it vertical or horizontal?
Sound advice, and a perfect segue into our last topic, and that's around digital marketing. So Barry, I've got a couple questions for you, but we're going to really start out with, we've heard a lot about, hey, I've got my brand, I went and got some awesome photography, I've got some great, video clips and stuff to you, so I got content. But why is it important to have a solid digital footprint where we combine all that? Like, why is it important this day and age?
So a lot of people out there are just, I'm on social media, I don't need a website. There's a lot more. If you have a brick and mortar store as well, you want to have a good digital footprint because people are searching for you out there. And when I say digital footprint, it could be your Google Business Profile. But really, for me, I feel you start with your website. But you can't build a website and you can't have that digital footprint by creating those listings online without having good branding, great photography, great video, and pulling that all together to tell the story. And also with branding and all of this is messaging. What's that copy? What are the words that you put out there? Or when you get on your camera, on your phone and you're talking to the camera, what are you saying? What's that message, right? But for example, it's so funny that, Annette and I started the Gears and Gasoline podcast, and we just pushed it out to the podcast world out there. I don't know where it all is, but did a search one day, and we were on Amazon Music UK, and that kind of blew me away. Holy cow! So your digital footprint, people are really start by searching online. They're not just going to search; they're searching for intent. They're looking for product or service, or trying to learn something. And if you're not out there with a good website, with good content, good social media profiles, posting on a consistent basis, writing blog content, updating your website on a consistent basis, making sure it loads fast, all that stuff all comes together to show up better online. I've always said, I've said on the stage quite a few times and said, Google doesn't care about your business. They don't. They care about their customers finding what they're looking for quickly and getting to the right things. So if you have a really good, powerful digital footprint and you're saying the right words and talking about the right information, Google will list you and you'll show up online. Okay, if you go out and search for Motorhead Digital, you get a whole page of our stuff because we're all over the place. Okay. Also, Jeff talked about branding, right? Your audience, and Nick talked about knowing your audience. If you focus on a niche, everybody's focused on some sort of niche, but we're very focused with it. People know you're an expert at X, Y, and Z, and they know you understand that. Okay, I've had customers come to me and we go, we want to work with you because you're a marketing, not because you're a marketing agency, but because you know the automotive space, you know the restoration and performance space. Okay, we've had people say that to us, and I was kind of blown away, but that was my whole goal in the first place when we started writing articles in the Shop magazine and standing on the stage. Okay, so getting your name out there, but being consistent and precise, and pulling all these aspects together of branding and photography and videography, it is hard at times. I can tell you, we do a lot of social media, but I'll do posts and it'll take me 20 minutes to put it together because I'm a perfectionist, But, so you gotta think ahead, and if you can hire somebody, I have a team that does most of our stuff, but if you can afford it, hire an expert for that specific thing, right? Whether it's a website, whether it's social media, whether it's photography or branding. I don't do any branding. We have a team of brand companies we work with to do branding. I hate doing logos and stuff like that. So anyways, yeah, you gotta think about that. And you can, a lot of people will these days, Americans specifically we're like, Amazon, where can I get the cheapest? You can't think about that. You have, what can you afford? You don't have to start big, but if you can outsource it, like I said, this gentleman here, to somebody that really knows that you can focus on your customer and getting more customers and providing great value to them with what you're good at, and let the other experts that do what they do make you shine.
Sorry, Barry. I was going to say, I think we've learned over the last few years that there are a lot of shysters out there who claim they're digital experts, and they're happy to take your money, and you get nothing out of it. I assume none of you are in business as a charity. In other words, you're not looking to just spend your money, right? So think about that. And a really hard lesson we learned is when you engage with someone and they're good at selling and bullshitting you, and you write that check and they don't give you what you expected, listen to your gut. Because now we are like spidey senses. When you talk to someone, I don't care if it's a photographer, videographer, whoever, if you don't like them, you can bail. You don't have to be a nice person, and it's nothing personal. If they don't fit what you need, move on. Right? And it's so important. And there's so many talented people supporting our industry right now. There's no need to go get some shyster out there. Just don't do it.
Yeah, I'm going to tag on to that by saying, like, for those of you who do decide, like, hey, now's the time that I want to hire a professional photographer or a videographer, make sure it's somebody that you resonate with, right? That they share the same passion that you do, that they understand the difference between a resto mod and a performance upgrade, right? I know that sounds really stupid, but believe it or not, like, there's a lot of companies out there that are like, oh yeah, we do marketing, we can take care of it for you. But do they really know your industry? Probably not.
If they're a wedding photographer and that's all they do, they don't
Right.
you don't want to hire them to shoot cars. So they don't know
Right.
anything about other stuff, right?
That doesn't work. And I know we're going a couple minutes over. Hey, if you got to leave, I get it. Don't feel bashful about taking off. But, we need just a few more minutes and we'll start to wrap up if that's cool. Do we have any questions from the audience regarding digital marketing? Because we've presented, yes, we do have one. Oh, is that on? Hang on. He's giving me the finger.
Hi, my name is Dorian.
There
I'm
we
in
go.
Texas.
Yeah.
We had our old website, and we spent a bunch of money and redid the whole website, online store. We're just trying to figure out a way how to either plug it in or drive customers to the site, just to see. Because I don't want to keep posting like visit our site, visit our site. There was something y'all recommend.
You want to figure out how to drive customers to that new website?
Yeah, just get their attention.
You can do organic, right? Get your digital footprint built with everything from Google Business Profile, but organic social media, but keep it consistent, do it consistently. Focus on the social media platforms that your customers live on. If they're not on TikTok, don't waste your time on TikTok, right? And then also you have the flip side, you can get into Facebook ads, Google ads, but don't try to do that yourself. If you don't know anything about how to do that, you're going to be blowing money. You just might as well open the window and throw the money out the window. But you can get noticed with that. You just have to hire somebody that knows what they're doing.
Yeah, good question there. We'll get that out. Another one right up front.
In regards to social media marketing, what would you say is the best consistency for video posting? Because I'd imagine you don't want to post too much where you annoy the people, or too little where you kind of just phase off.
So when it comes to specific platforms, they have different recommendations for each. So I tie back in, find which audience you're first trying to tag first. Then go based off that platform's recommendations. Like for Instagram, for example, they like to do like 2 or 3 video posts a week. They want that kind of consistency. And then you integrate it in with normal stagnant posts like photos, story posts, stuff like that. Just to kind of make it feel like it's authentic, like all these things are actually happening.
Yeah, the gal that's speaking after us at 3 o'clock will tell you about that. If you post too much, people will turn you off.
Real quick before you move on, I just also want to say, like, keep it in perspective and remember that, like, think about a time like you went to go show one of your friends something that was on Instagram, and I'll just use that as an example. And by the time that you got there, like your feed refreshed and now you can't find it because it's like 67 posts later. that's how often what you're putting out there reaches who your target market is, right? Like they are inundated by a ton of different stuff that is coming across their feed. So yes, there are rules to engagement there, but also understand that your audience is being bombarded by so many different messages. The chances that they're gonna ever get to that point where they're like, man, I see too much of your stuff is probably not gonna happen.
Okay. My name is Bridget. I'm from Arizona. I have a mobile mechanic shop and a digital advertising agency. However, I haven't done any paid ads in this vertical. What do you guys see as an average of a CPM or a CPA for this vertical?
Say that again, I didn't quite understand. Cost per click or?
CPM, cost per milli, and CPA, cost per acquisition.
I can't, it just depends on who you're targeting.
In this vertical, in the automotive vertical.
Again, there's restoration and performance, there's parts, so it really depends on.
Average, like I know real estate like the back of my hand.
I really don't have that right now.
Insurance like the back of my hand, and can give you numbers on those. What's the average for this vertical?
I'll be honest with you, I don't have that number right now.
Let's get some information after the session and absolutely talk to you.
I'll
It's
get
going to
some,
be an interesting one.
if you stop up after, we can chat more.
Yeah. So unfortunately, we are out of time, but we will be available. We went over. So thank you for your patience, by the way. A couple of requests. Please make sure you complete the session feedback. We need that. Make sure you put a comment in there about how awesome Dean was and Mas Tequila. That's all I ask. And then when you click on this QR code, it'll give you access. You'll be able to download our presentation, what we call our pro tips that are included, plus some takeaways that our panel members have created. So thank you, panel.